Nothing beats the fresh taste of... Take two. Nothing beats the fresh taste of Ghost hydration. Am I right, boys? Just the sound of it going down the hatch. It's a hard pill to swallow, ladies and gentlemen, but so good. And good for you. Cures most diseases. Do not fact check me. Do not fact check me. Okay. All right. There we go. There we go. Yes. Hey. What's up, guys? How you doing? Welcome back to yet another installment. Yeah, mementos, uno momento, por favor, uno momento, por favor. All right, what were we doing? What were we doing last time we were on here? We were doing Secret Codes of the Mind. Secret Codes of the Mind. That was the last thing that we did. I'll tell you what, the script has been really nice. Because I've been able to, as you see, edit down the introduction and the first part of the first chapter. It boiled about 45 minutes down to just over 15. So I got my first 15 minutes right here. So really happy for that. But there was a couple things that I wanted to change on it. So let's see. Let's go to the introduction. Let's see if there's any comments. Okay, no comments for the intro, which is good. But on this one, I thought we had a few comments. Okay. So the most important thing is that this should be his grandfather. Also, can it be up like his grandfather? So, how did I say it? His father, Georg Kahn. His grandfather, probably something like that. So, can I record straight in here, though? Record audio only. Use cameras. Allow. Check 1, 2. Check 3, 4. Yeah, but which one though? Studio sound, speaker, auto gain control, because I don't want to go out of my way to put in something here that like I don't want to create a wave just to like put it in here at a certain point. Like I may as well just record into here, but I want to know microphone. What microphone am I using? Because it should be Evo 8. There we go. Check. 1, 2. Okay. Microphone, manage, Evo 8. Okay. So let's see how this sounds. So if I said, like right here. His grandfather All right, so we're processing that. Transcribing. All right, where'd you go? Where'd you put it? Do I have to like... Oh, it did put it here. Okay, cool. Let's hear it. His father, Georg Kahn, owned a small workshop. I don't know if that totally fits. Let's put on some headphones and check it out. Let's put on some headphones and check it out. Let's check it out, guys. Here. All right, Logic Pro. I see you. Don't worry. I see you, baby. I see you. You're good. You're good. All right. His grandfather. Dude, that is not using the right microphone at all. His grandfather. His father, Georg Kahn. That sounds awful. Yikes. Yeah, no. Okay, so certain into script. Allow. Wait. Oh, you could do it with tab share. That's pretty neat. I don't really want to do tab share though. So I'm going to click cancel, but let's see AI, his grandfather, done writing. His father. Enable speech generation. Okay. Okay. So let's try to reload this. And then if I can't get it to work on here, then it is what it is. We'll just have to put in a wave. But I want to see, like, if I can do it this way, I should do it this way. See, it's getting a lot of background noise, so countdown, transcription, speaker, auto gain control, studio sound. Okay. So let's go in, let's use the microphone, let's manage it. So it's on this one. Let's see if it updated. His grandfather. All right. And if it didn't work there, then I don't think we're going to get this to work on here. But that's okay. Because it shouldn't take too much time to just Fine, I'll do it myself. There we go. All right. How's it sound? His grandfather.
His father, Gay.
Dude, that sounds so bad. Yikes. It's too bad. Too bad. S for playback? Let's see. His grandfather. Control S.
His father, Georg Kahn, owned a small workshop in the family home stood on the outskirts of the city, an area frequently plagued by floods and townspeople of Königsberg. His father, Georg Kahn, owned a small workshop in the family home stood on the outskirts of the city, an area frequently plagued by floods and fires.
Okay. Well, I'll just do it over here then. Immanuel Kant. I'll do it at the very end of Immanuel Kant. I will. You see me. Watch and learn. It's going to happen. All right. This right here. Check 1 2. Check 3 4. Why is this not doing the internal monitoring though? Because it wasn't on it. All right. His grandfather. Oh, sorry. All right, we'll bounce that as a wave file. Wave, okay. This is chapter 1. Immanuel Kant, and this is grandfather. Okay, we'll bounce that. Then we'll add it into here. It's kind of a roundabout way to do it, but I think this works.
His father, Georg Kahn.
All right, and then let's see how it let's see how this dude. There we go. Let's see how they stack up against each other.
His grandfather, Georg Kahn, owned a small workshop in the family home stood on the outskirts of the city, an area frequently plagued by floods and fires. In 1769,
Okay. So that's not bad. Okay, can this go up a bit? Let's see.
who was a devout pietist, a movement within Lutheranism that was especially popular.
Maybe say like their old house?
In 1769, their old house was consumed by fire.
Their old house. Their old house. Their old house was consumed by fire. Okay, I could do that. Their old house was consumed by fire. Their old house was consumed
by fire.
Okay. And then probably the best one out of that. Because how did I say it on here? I said it
Their old house.
there, 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 there. And I'm looking for maybe there. Okay. So I'm going to bring that out as Immanuel Kant. Old house. Let's bounce that. Oh, okay. For a second, I thought that I did it with the internal monitoring. Oopsies. All right. So I'm going to add a file here. Old house, open. Kind of a roundabout way, but it works. Thanks so much for the like. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Thank you on YouTube. Big ups to YouTube. I appreciate you. Good to see you on there. Good to see you on there. If you're new in here, say what's up. I do have a chat on here, but there's not too many people on the chat these days. So I appreciate you when you come in, and thank you so much for all the likes and all the love. You are amazing. All right, let's see.
Their old house was consumed by fire. Their old house was consumed by fire. Their old house was consumed by fire, burning to the ground, along with much of the surrounding area.
Okay, so I like these inflections better, but which one do I like better?
Their old house was consumed by fire.
Or
Their old house was consumed by fire.
I kind of like that. Not going to lie, the first one was pretty good. So maybe like
In 1769, their old
okay, so that I want to
69, their old house was
cuz I don't want it to sound like I'm plugging in.
in 1769, their old house was consumed by fire, burning to the ground, along with much of the surrounding area. Kant learned about death and grief.
Okay, so we did that. Who was a devout pietist? Okay, so I said sort of a jump scare. My friend laughed at that. Let's see.
From Memel, now Klaipeda.
So I want to probably say now, sort of like that. And then if I go in here, add a file, then I can add now. Because then that should be a little less.
Originally from Memel, now Klaipeda, Lithuania, and worked as a craftsman, specializing in the manufacture.
Okay. I could see that. Cool. Maybe go up a little higher on he was sociable. He was a sociable. So we settled the jump scare. Maybe go a little higher on this. He was okay and died. So let's thus.
Thus, there was never more than 6 place settings in his house. Immanuel Kant was born and died in his native city.
Okay, I know what I want. And died. And died. Okay. That's probably best right there. And died. Hopefully that's not a jump scare.
Khan was born and died in his native
Hmm.
was born and died in his native city. Khan was born and died in his native city of Königsberg.
Hmm. And died. Maybe it's something like that. Was born and died. Okay, maybe something like that. Maybe we'll put born and died together.
Khan was born and died in his native city.
So if I
Immanuel Khan was born and Khan was born and died in his
there we go.
Khan was born and died in his native city of Königsberg, now Kaliningrad, part of the Russian Federation. History.
Oh, yeah, we settled that. Can this go up a bit? Okay, let's see.
Who was a Kant's family was deeply religious, particularly his mother, who was a devout pietist, a movement who was a devout pietist.
Oopsies. Pietist. All right.
Who was a devout pietist.
Okay. All right, let's see how that stacks up.
Particularly his mother, who was a devout pietist. Who was a devout pietist. Mother, who was a devout.
Okay. I do like that a little better. So, let's see if it.
Kant's family was deeply religious, particularly his mother, who was a devout pietist, a movement with
Okay, that sounds like it's plugged in.
a movement within Lutheranism that was especially popular among common townspeople of Königsberg. His grandfather, Georg Kahn, owned a small workshop in the family home stood on the outskirts of the city, an area frequently plagued by floods and fires. In 1769, their old house was consumed by fire, burning to the ground, along with much of the surrounding area.
Okay, that's good. I like that. So that's good. So
Simple stinginess, yet he was a sociable and curious man.
how about
Yet He was a sociable and curious man. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. Okay, I think one of those got to be good. One of those got to be good, right? Bounce it. Sociable. Bounce. So this is how it originally sounded. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. Okay. Or. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. Okay. There's a little bit of the k that was blocked there. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. I don't like that yet, so that's gone. I don't like this in here. So it really comes down to these two, which is better. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. These sound almost identical. Let me check. He was a sociable and curious man. A sociable and curious man. Okay, so then it comes down to he was a sociable and curious man. So this right here. And curious man. Or and curious man. And curious man. And curious man. Yet he was a sociable and curious man, surrounded by. Yet he was a sociable and curious. So let's check out these yets. Yet. Or. Yet. Or. Yet. 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 Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. So. Yet. He was even frugally. Some claimed this was due to simple stinginess. Yet. I like that yet. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to get rid of these. So then it really comes down to what sounds best after this yet. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. Or. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. Okay, I like that. That one's probably better. Stinginess. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man. He was a sociable and curious. Yes, yeah, I like that. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man, surrounded by friends and immersed. Okay, so bring that over a little bit. Yet, he was a sociable and curious man, surrounded by friends and immersed in books. He ate only once a day, at precisely 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. So I like that. All right, cool. Well, it looks like we've pretty much completed that then. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is this is basically what I want to see. This is basically what I want to see. So
I'm going to export. I'm going to go to timeline. I'm going to export the Pro Tools, export, and it's going to be exporting timeline. And I'm going to let this work. And while this is working, I'm going to go over to Logic Pro and do a couple housekeeping things. It looks like I got the edited outsource chapter 1. Okay, edited 1. Emmanuel Khan. All right, cool. And then we got the wave function 0, wave function 1. Born and died. Okay. There we go. Now it has no excuse, and it must work. There we go. Save that as well. Okay. All right. What else do we got? So we have everything on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to import. I'm going to go to AAF. I'm going to go to Emmanuel Kant AAF. And it should contain everything that we just downloaded. So it's going to copy that over. Hopefully it works, because last time it was not. Last time it was stuck in a circle. And I had to import from another project into this project. Super cool. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on when it does this. Here, I'll move my face. I think I'll move my face. As you can see, it's trying to load that function, gets to the end, and then it wants to load that right back up. It wants to copy that file, and it keeps trying to copy that file over and over and over again. I do not know what's going on. You know what? I see it progressing. I see it 14. Huh. Importing media 0-1415. Okay, I think it actually is doing something here. Because you sort of see right there. What's going on? 17. Let me just check something because I don't know what it's trying to do, but it's really cramping my style here. All right. Lassie. Auditions. Voiceover. ACX. Secret Codes of the Mind. Editing Outsource. Chapter 1. Edited. Yeah, it really shouldn't contain that many WAV files. So I don't know what it's trying to do, but it's not doing it correctly. Is it trying to import that exact same thing, like however many times it's been cut up? Because, oof. Let's go ahead and quit. Command Option. No. I think I have to go through and just like terminate it. This is annoying because I think it's going to do this every single time I try to import, which is really going to cramp this. So let's go ahead and force that. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Autosave. Let's bring up autosave. Okay, cool. And then we'll save this. And then I'll open recent medical law. Don't close. File. Import. I don't know why it's no longer importing things correctly, but like this is what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to hit Immanuel Kant, it's supposed to load it in, and it's supposed to like think for a second and go, oh, that's what you want. Okay. And then chop it up. This is how fast it usually takes. It's very, very simple. So I don't know why it's trying to take 5 years, but you know. So let's go ahead and copy that and then bring it over. Wait, hold up. There we go. Okay. I'm going to call this Immanuel Kant raw. Mute it. Go back up. Go all the way over. And then paste the chopped up version and call that final. So that's the final. None of these should be chopped up in the middle of the word. I've been trying to keep an eye out for that. Because Descript likes to do that, but it actually doesn't translate well when it goes on to logic. So I'm trying to keep an eye out for any time it's for like spikes, and then any time that there's a word that's been chopped in the middle. But I think this is pretty good. So we got that. And then introduction edited. That should be good. think once I get the opening and closing credits, all I have to do is just bounce everything as like a long clip, and then that's all I need. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go into closing credits. Let's see. Logic Pro. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that channel on so you guys can hear it, and I'm not boring everybody. There's so many things happening at once. All right. And then let's bring closing credits up as well, because we'll do those at the same time. So let's check it out. Okay, so see what I'm doing. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Kind of like that one. Okay. So you must choose. You must choose which one is the right one. Or, hmm. Okay. It's better if you do like A/B testing, because then you could say like, is this better or that better? But if you try to like keep everything in your mind at once, it's really, really challenging. So what I recommend is going like, or, hmm, or, or, hmm, or, okay. I like the second one. Or, I like the second one better. Okay, so where are we at with this? 4. Kind of like that one better. All right. This is what we've come up with. Maybe like take that back a bit. How does that sound? Oh, okay. Interesting. Mm, maybe a little bit more. Right. Maybe a little bit of workshop needs to be done here. So written. Narrated comes like right after. Okay. So not sure I love that, but it's actually way easier to edit on that other thing. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I'll take that. So let's hear it all together. I think narrated could get a little more space. So yeah, maybe just like that. Okay. Actually, yeah, I do kind of like that. Maybe that needs like a little bit. Ah! Close window. Close window. Attacking the windows. Okay. So Okay. All right. Let's hear how that sounds all together.
Production copyright by Andrew V. Kuden.
Uh, why isn't this playing on Prism? I just noticed that it's like not even registering on here. Why? Logic Pro properties. Okay. Logic Pro. Advanced audio properties. Hmm. Check 1 2. Check 3 4. Properties. Yeah, Logic Pro. Yeah. So why isn't this? Oh, actually no. I thought I had to restart the capture. No, it's on there. Hold up.
This has been The Secret Codes of the Mind, Introduction to Philosophy, Book 5,
Okay.
written by Andrew V. Kuden, narrated by Eric Pullman. Copyright 2025 by Andrew V. Kuden. Production copyright by Andrew. Copyright 2025. Production copyright by Andrew V. Kuden.
Okay. All right. No, that sounds good. I don't know if that was actually showcasing or if when I went in just now to fix it, if it started fixing itself. So hopefully it actually caught what I was working on there. But I just did the closing credits and the opening credits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate opening credits and say this is the first 15 checkpoint. And then I'm going to add the opening credits. I'm going to add the actually, I don't think we quite edited down part 1 just yet. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to go ahead and edit this down. Yo. I'm going to edit this down.
Part 1. Part 1. German Classical Philosophy. German Classical Philosophy. German Classical Philosophy. German Classical Philosophy.
Like, none of these sound like super good, though. So they all kind of sound like German Classical Philosophy. Even that would be okay. Even like a sing-songy, like Chapter 1, Part 1, German Classical Philosophy. I think even that would be all right. Chapter 1, Part 1, German Classical Philosophy. That's what I say, right?
Part 1, German Classical Philosophy. German Classical Philosophy. German Classical Philosophy. German Classical Philosophy.
Yes, it's just the timing's weird.
Part 1, German Classical Philosophy. German Classical Part 1.
I like that part 1 best, but I wonder if that is the same thing as
Part 1.
Part 1, German Classical Philosophy. Is the levels too different?
Part 1,
German Classical Philosophy.
Part 1, German classical philosophy. Part 1. German classical philosophy.
It's not bad. It's not bad. So what we'll do is we'll copy that. Does it introduce before? Dude, I have to pull up the let's see, ACX, download manuscript. What are you doing? Let me in. Completed. Secret codes of the mind. Download manuscript. All right. Secret codes of the mind. We're just going to put it in that folder. All right. Let's see. What do we got? What have we got? What do we have here? All right. So, okay. Okay. So the part 1 card comes after the introduction. So I'll go into Logic Pro. Here's the introduction edited. I will Control C. And then I'll go into verse 15 and I'll put the introduction in here. I'm pretty sure that the introduction contains the most recent edits, but I want to double check. Last viewed. I can't really see what I changed, but I can see that the duration is 8 minutes and 40 seconds. And if I go into the Logic Pro and scroll down, the introduction here is it 8 minutes 40 seconds is the question. 8 minutes 40, like on the dot. So because of that, I'm going to say that these two are probably the same. So in lieu of that, I'm going to put in the introduction and put it all over. And then I'm going to take the part 1 card and put it after. Let's put it up here so you guys can see it. Put it after the introduction. Put that over. So I'm going to mute that. And then I'm going to take chapter 1, which is just like the part 1 of chapter 1, and Immanuel Kant final. And I'm going to put it in here. Now, oh, you bitch. All right. Stop it. Quit doing that. There we go. And then put that all over. And then take this whole thing and bring it over. And then we'll have about 23 minutes of content to show.
The Secret Codes of the Mind. Introduction to Philosophy. Book 5. Written by Andrew V. Kuden. Narrated by Eric Pullman. Introduction. This book is a fascinating journey across centuries and into the lives of extraordinary thinkers whose ideas rocked society, challenged conventional wisdom, and reshaped the world. You'll witness firsthand how groundbreaking philosophies emerged, discover the beliefs philosophers stood by, even at the cost of their lives. and see how it'll change you forever. Part 1: German Classical Philosophy. Chapter 1: Immanuel Kant, Critique of Human Thought and Influence on Subsequent Philosophy. Unlike Voltaire and many other famous philosophers, Immanuel Kant...
Okay, and then so we're going to take that whole thing, we're going to master it. So it's going to do a mastering analysis of it right now. This Logic Pro makes it so easy. You just click and it analyzes the whole thing, and it does an automated mastering of it all. I know people that charge money to do just this. Just literally click, put it in here, and then we'll pay you to spit out whatever it spits out. So this thing does so well that people charge you money to let it do its thing, unfortunately. All right, so this is interesting. Okay, let's see how it sounds, though, because you can just click play.
The Secret Codes of the Mind, Introduction to Philosophy, Book 5, written by Andrew V. Kudin, narrated by Eric Pullman. Introduction. This book is a fascinating journey across centuries and into the lives of extraordinary thinkers whose ideas rocked society, challenged conventional wisdom, and reshaped the world. You'll witness firsthand how groundbreaking philosophies emerged, discover the beliefs philosophers stood by, even at the cost of their lives, and see how these ideas became driving forces that shaped nations and empires. The book is divided into 2 main parts, each with 4 chapters clearly structured into topics, making it easy for you to quickly find exactly what sparks your curiosity or answers your questions. In Part 1, you'll step into the vibrant world of German classical philosophy, a period bursting with bold theories and intellectual revolutions. You'll get acquainted with Immanuel Kant, whose daily routines in Königsberg were so famously punctual that neighbors literally set their watches by his afternoon walks. But beneath Kant's meticulous habits lay revolutionary ideas. He showed that humans don't just perceive reality, they actively shape it with the power of their minds. His famous categorical imperative became humanity's ethical North Star, changing forever how we see morality and duty. You'll understand why Kant believed duty outranked happiness, and how this notion turned our entire concept of freedom upside down. Next, you'll meet the enigmatic Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, whose mesmerizing lectures at the University of Berlin drew crowds from across Europe. Hegel viewed human life as the relentless drama of the absolute spirit, a cosmic tug-of-war of opposites struggling toward greater unity. His dialectical approach shaped not only philosophy, but science, culture, and politics for generations. You'll learn why contemporaries saw him as almost prophetic in how his ideas inspired movements and revolutions even he couldn't have anticipated. Then you'll discover Johann Gottlieb Fichte, a philosopher who boldly declared that the entire world springs directly from our own consciousness and willpower. Fichte's fiery speeches weren't just theory, they inspired German youth to fight passionately for their country's freedom and unity. You'll see how Fichte's science of knowledge wasn't merely philosophical speculation, but a rallying cry for action, courage, and profound self-awareness. After that, you'll encounter Friedrich Wilhelm Joseph Schelling, a mystical philosopher whose poetic view of nature captivated and astonished audiences. Schelling believed that nature wasn't some lifeless machine, but a living, breathing organism filled with spirit and meaning. To him, art, mythology, and religion were humanity's attempts to reconnect and harmonize with nature itself. You'll quickly grasp why his philosophy was often compared to poetry, and why his influence reached far beyond philosophy alone, deeply touching artists, writers, and spiritual seekers alike. Part 1 wraps up with Friedrich Schiller, the celebrated poet-philosopher who spent his entire life chasing the elusive dream of absolute that only creativity and playful imagination could liberate us from the cold chains of logic and raw passion, leading humanity toward true inner harmony. Fascinatingly, it was Schiller's friendship and intellectual partnership with Goethe that sparked revolution
That kind of gives the
on aesthetics and culture.
that kind of gives the inclination that it's like in the other room.
Even today, you'll see how Schiller turned philosophy
I kind of want to use that for a skit that I have in mind.
of freedom. In part 2, you'll plunge into the turbulent currents of the 19th and early 20th century.
2% dry, 100% wet, 0 feedback all the way down, 0 color.
You'll explore Marxism, a philosophy that altered millions of lives forever. You'll get to know Karl Marx is more than just a historical figure. You'll meet him as the passionate, struggling revolutionary he really was, alongside Friedrich Engels, a factory owner's son who dedicated his life to workers' rights. You'll see Vladimir Lenin not as some marble statue or symbol, but as a deeply conflicted individual filled with grand ambitions, fears, and doubts. You'll learn why their ideas remain so fiercely debated today, still polarizing scholars and politicians alike. Russian religious philosophy will surprise and fascinate you with its profound blend of mysticism and sharp criticism of materialism. You'll follow the gripping lives of philosophers like Vladimir Solovyov, whose prophetic visions stunned his contemporaries, and Nikolai Berdyaev, expelled from Soviet Russia, yet unwavering in his belief in human dignity and freedom. You'll begin to see why Russian philosophy still mesmerizes us, compelling us to wrestle with life's ultimate mysteries. Then we'll return to Europe, diving into a compelling clash of two powerful philosophical currents: positivism, with its unshakable faith in science and progress, and existentialism, haunted by the gut-wrenching questions about life's meanings and human freedom. You'll understand how Soren Kierkegaard's angst-filled insights give birth to the modern existential perspective, influencing countless authors, filmmakers, and artists, making existentialism the defining philosophical voice of the 20th century. Finally, you'll uncover the striking yet grim truths articulated by Arthur Schopenhauer, who saw existence itself as endless, inescapable suffering. And you'll experience.
All right, 1 second. Let's see. We're gonna close this medical law. Don't save.
Tragic brilliance.
Because I just noticed something. Options. We're gonna go ahead and save this, but all right, we gotta pause for a second, I guess, while we save it. get a drink while I'm pausing. All right. All right. While we're there, let's go to logic. Let's go to open. And we'll go to philosophical methods. We will not close this because we'll be right back. We'll literally be right back. This has a lot to load, but one or multiple audio files changed in length. Okay. Cool. So, what I'm going to do, yeah, these seem about right. So I'm gonna copy the channel strip setting and go over to secret codes of the mind, and then paste the channel strip setting there. Logic Pro. What? I didn't know you could do that. Okay. Logic Pro, philosophical methods. Let's see. Setting, copy, and then I will go ahead and close out of this window. Don't save. So I will go ahead and paste channel strip setting, because that is kind of how it should look. And let's see if this is how it should sound.
The Secret Codes of the Mind. Introduction to Philosophy. Book 5. Written by Andrew V. Kuden. Narrated by Eric Pullman. Introduction. This book is a fascinating journey across centuries and into the lives of extraordinary thinkers whose ideas rocked society, challenged conventional wisdom, and reshaped the world. You'll witness firsthand how groundbreaking philosophies emerged, discover the beliefs philosophers stood by, even at the cost of their lives, and see how these ideas became driving forces that shaped nations and empires. The book is divided into 2 main parts, each with 4 chapters clearly structured into topics, making it easy for you to quickly find exactly what sparks your curiosity or answers your questions. In Part 1, you'll step into the vibrant world of German classical philosophy, a period bursting with bold theories and intellectual revolutions. You'll get acquainted with Immanuel Kant, whose daily routines in Königsberg were so famously punctual that neighbors literally set their watches by his afternoon walks. But beneath Kant's meticulous habits lay revolutionary ideas. He showed that humans don't.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce all this. I'm going to make sure this is all good to go, and it is, and I will solo it just in case. So I will bounce this as, okay, I will bounce that as Secret Codes of the Mind, new folder, final. I'll create a folder, and then in that folder I will create a 15-minute checkpoint. Okay. And while that's bouncing, we'll just chill. What up, guys? Yeah, so these are cool. What are the AI speakers, though? Let's see. Create new AI speaker with text to speech regenerate. Let's see. Eric Pullman. Confirm. I'm training my voice by reading the following statement. Imagine. Okay. And it's using the right mic, so that should be good. Okay. Record the statement below to train your speaker and authorize its use. For best results, read with range in your voice and tone. All right, let's see. I want the script to create an artificial version of my voice that I can use to create speech that sounds like me. I am training my voice by reading the following statement. Imagine a big blue ball spinning in space. That's our Earth. On it, there are tall mountains. Deep oceans, and huge forests with animals. In cities, people talk, play, and work. We all have different voices. Some people speak softly, while others are loud. Every day, we tell stories, ask questions, and share jokes. All right, let's see. Let's see what it can do. And in lieu of that, it looks like we are actually all good here. So let's go ahead and let's hit up Dr. Kuden with the surprise 15-minute sample finalized, but also over deliver with 23 minutes. Whoa. Let's do it. So not only are we going to be early on the checkpoint by about 4 days, but we're going to over deliver as well. We're going to over deliver with 23 minutes, almost twice what is asked for. So very cool to see that. I definitely want to put that out there to say, hey, this is what can be done in this amount of time. And we're here to drive this. Recording for Eric Pullman did not match the authorization statement. Try again. Okay. I want the script to create an artificial version of my voice that I can use to create speech that sounds like me. I am training my voice by reading the following statement. Imagine a big blue ball spinning in space. That's our Earth. On it, there are tall mountains, deep oceans, and huge forests with animals. In cities, people talk, play, and work. We all have different voices, and some people speak softly, while others are loud. Every day we tell stories, ask questions, and share jokes. There we go. Hopefully that works. All right, cool. Let's hear it on the platform.
The Secret Codes of the Mind. Introduction to Philosophy. Book 5. Written by Andrew V. Kuden. Narrated by Eric Pullman. Introduction. This book is a fascinating journey across centuries and into the lives of extraordinary thinkers whose ideas rocked society, challenged conventional wisdom, and reshaped the world. you'll witness firsthand how groundbreaking philosophies emerged. Discover the beliefs philosophers stood by, even at the cost of their lives, and see how these ideas became driving forces that shaped nations and empires. The book is divided into two main parts, each with 4 chapters clearly structured into topics, making it easy for you to quickly find exactly what sparks your curiosity or answers your questions. In part 1, you'll step into the vibrant world of German classical philosophy, a period bursting with bold theories and intellectual revolutions.
All right, cool. Let's fast forward. Let's see what this is like.
We grasp and transform ourselves and the world around us. I warmly invite you to embark on this adventure. Trust me, it'll change you forever. Part 1, German Classical Philosophy. Chapter 1, Immanuel Kant, Critique of Human Thought and Influence on Subsequent Philosophy. Unlike Voltaire and many other famous philosophers, Immanuel Kant never sat in prison, took part in revolutions, or orchestrated palace coups. From the outside, his life might seem uneventful, even monotonous. No family, no children. Kant once remarked, "When I was young, I had neither time nor money. When I had both, I no longer needed women." Kant was renowned not only for his philosophical works, but
All right. Okay. That sounds pretty good. Listen, I did say I did s- I know that women line is a little like ladies, I apologize. I do not know what was meant by that. But this was, I suppose, the 1800s. So the 18th century, the 1700s. So I don't know. That was a weird line, though. Not gonna lie. Let's see. But that's in. We're good to go. Zoom forward.
at Principius, on the form and principles of the sensible and intelligible world, commonly referred to as the Dissertation. 96, Kant's health had begun to decline. After decades of intense teaching and scholarship, he resigned from his position at the university, unable to sustain his previous level of activity. 8 years later, on February 12th, 1804, Immanuel Kant passed away at his home. In the final weeks before his death, he was too weak to rise from his bed.
Okay. It sounds like my de-esser is catching Fs as well. So I'm going to have to figure out what is going on there with that setting. It's an easy fix. I think I just need to change on the de-esser setting. I think I just need to change the frequency. I have it at 69 hertz. I think I just need to change that to something different. Obviously that's funny, but it's not exactly catching the Fs. So I forgot what default is. I think the default is like 5,000 or something. I don't know. Yeah. But we got that finished, and what else? What else? We're an hour and a half in. It is 11:14. Maybe we could do a better recording. Maybe we could do a better recording. So let's go ahead and save that. Let's open recent. I think we're working on medical law. Let's go ahead and close that. and open up the medical law project we're working on. We are on chapter 5. Let's see if we can't knock out some recording on this. Yeah, 5 chapters in. I think we're about 40% of the way through, so we're working our way through it. Actually, so I've got all 4 of these on Descript, I believe. I think I have a good amount of this one on Descript. Let's see if I open recent legal foundations. Let's close that. Let's go ahead and save it, actually. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm new here. All right, so preface final edit. Oh, it's 804 pages. Why does that not sound like a lot of pages? 804. Okay, where are we on this project? And why are the opening credits that long? What? I have so many questions. That can't be. That has to be the 15-minute checkpoint. Cause I'm pretty sure on this one, I can go over to Descript to see if that's the case. All right. Let's go to projects. Let's go to Eric's Drive, which is a little bit low sometimes, admittedly. Yeah, it looks like the preface is on there, and so is the foreword. Cool. So I must be at acknowledgements. I must be at the acknowledgements section. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go to, oh no, because I have the acknowledgements here. So I just need to share the acknowledgements with Descript. I think that's what I need. I think that's the step I'm on. Let's see. Once I get these books done. Libertarian attorney friend Daniel Roncari. To all of these and many others, okay. So let's go ahead and add a part 1. Libertarianism. This is going to be the card for this. Part 1, Libertarianism. Part 1, Libertarianism. Libertarianism. 1. How I became a libertarian. How I became a libertarian. Okay. I think I'm gonna go ahead and follow through with this. So I'm gonna FaceTime myself, sharing my screen, and then I'm going to pull up the script on here. go into my properties, go into, let's go into messages, go into myself. If I can find myself, that's always an issue. There I am. Then join the FaceTime. View camera, join. And then I'll share my screen. There we go. Script. Does script. No. Screen sharing. Okay. There we go. Loading Eric's screen. How do I take off this header, though? There we go. Dude, that is so big. All right, hold up. All right, I think that's probably good. So then you guys can follow along and you can see where I'm at. All right. 1. How I Became a Libertarian. First published as part of the LouRockwell.com autobiography series initiated by Walter Block. Initiated by Walter Block as How I Became a Libertarian, LouRockwell.com, December 18th, December 18th, 2002. Later included as Being a Libertarian in I Chose Liberty, Autobiographies of Contemporary Libertarians. Compiled by Walter Block, Mises Institute, 2010. Additional biographical pieces may be found at www.stephankinsella.com/publications/biographical. Unlike many libertarians who dally with socialism before seeing the light, I have never been attracted to leftism. Indeed, although I, of course, welcome former pinkos to... What is that? Indeed, although I, of course, welcome former pinkos to our ranks, I'm always a bit suspicious of anyone who could ever be swayed by that bunk. Born in 1965, I was reared in a small town near Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My natural aversion to leftism stems from this upbringing. The milieu, if South Louisiana,
if South Louisiana, let's see, if South Louisiana can be said to have one, can be said to have one, was nominally democratic, but relatively apolitical, culturally conservative, and Catholic. And Catholic. I can't recall ever meeting any open or hardcore leftists until college. There were other contributing factors that made me ripe for libertarianism. For one, I have always been strongly individualistic. For one, I have always been strongly individualistic and merit oriented. This is probably because this is probably because I was adopted and thus have always tended to cavalierly dismiss the importance of blood ties and any inherited or unearned group characteristics. This made me an ideal candidate. To be enthralled by Ayn Rand's Master of Universe, I don't need anything from you or owe you anything themes. Another factor is my strong sense of outrage at injustice, which probably developed as a result of my hatred of bullies and bullying. I was frequently attacked by them as a kid because I was small for my age, bookish, and a smartass. Not a good combination. I attended Catholic elementary and high school in Baton Rouge. I had a love-hate relationship with Mrs. Reinhardt. Catholic high school's librarian. When she was not expelling me and my cronies from the library, for pulling pranks, she would recommend books to me, as she knew I was an avid reader of both fiction and nonfiction. One day, she recommended Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead to me. One day, she recommended Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead to me. I believe this was in 1982 when I was a junior in high school, the same year Rand died. Read this, you'll like it, she told me. Ex nihilo, something.
Ex nihilo. Ex nihilo. Ex nihilo. Ex nihilo. Something. Rand's ruthless. Rand's ruthless. 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 Rand's ruthless logic of Rand's ruthless logic of justice appealed to me. Appealed to me. Rand's ruthless logic of justice appealed to me. I was thrilled to see a more or less rigorous application of reason to fields outside the natural sciences. I think this helped me to avoid succumbing in college to the simplistic and naive empiricism scientism that most of my fellow engineering classmates naturally absorbed. Mises's dualistic epistemology Mises's dualistic epistemology and criticism of monism, positivism, empiricism, which I studied much later, also helped shield me from scientism. But my first year of college, 1983, where I studied electrical engineering, I was a fairly avid objectivist style libertarian. I had read Henry Hazlitt's Bad has Kit Hazlitt. Yeah, Hazlitt. Okay. I had read Henry Hazlitt's Economics in one lesson, and some of Milton Friedman's works, but I initially steered clear of libertarian writing. Since Rand was so right on so many things, I at first assumed she and her disciples, Peter Schwartz and Leonard Peikoff must be right in denouncing libertarianism as the enemy of liberty. And yet, in my reading, I kept coming across libertarians whose views seemed virtually identical to Rand's capitalist policies. Finally, out of exasperation in trying to reconcile Rand's denunciation of libertarians
denunciation of libertarians with their seemingly similar views. With their seemingly similar views. I read Rothbard's. I read Rothbard's. I read Rothbard's For a New Liberty, and then several other books such as Nozick, the Tannehills, such as Nozick the Tannehills, David Friedman, etc. Before long, I realized Rand's minarchism. Minarchism? Minarchism. Before long, I realized Rand's minarchism was flawed. Individual rights entail anarcho-capitalism. A state, even a minarchist one, necessarily violates the individual rights that Rand so passionately championed. Rand made a lot of sense on a lot of issues, but her arguments in favor of government were strained. Let me just make sure there's not like any pops in here. Before long, I realized Rand's minarchism was flawed. Arguments in favor of government were strained. Okay, cool. I remember attending my only objectivist conference. In Dallas with my good friend Jack Criss, a libertarian radio talk show host from Jackson, Mississippi. Entitled Meeting of the Minds. The conference showcased objectivist stars David Kelly, John Ridpath, and Alan Godhealth. This was in March 1989, I believe. This was in March 1989, I believe, before David Kelly had been purged from official objectivist circles for daring to praise Barbara Brendan's biography, The Passion of Ayn Rand. I had corresponded with Kelly, who was gracious enough to take time to reply. This was before email to my questions. I have always admired and respected Kelly. I had several stimulating conversations with him at the conference, mostly on epistemology and philosophy. But I remember at a reception, but I remember at a reception of one of the students at a reception. Oh, okay. But I remember at a reception one of the students telling how he had taken a how he had taken his copy of The Passion of Ayn Rand. He how he had taken his copy of The Passion of Ayn Rand and burned it in a private ceremony in his mom's backyard. When when he realized how evil it was. I think he sought to gain points among his audience by relating this tale. I recall Jack and I looking at each other with cocked eyebrows. Book burning. Yes, well, that was the last and only objectivist book burning. Yes, well, that was the last and only objectivist conference I ever attended. In the late 80s, I started publishing columns. I started publishing columns in the LSU student newspaper, the Daily Revel. From an explicitly libertarian perspective, as my interests became more sharply political and philosophical, my girlfriend, later wife, and friends urged me to consider law school. I was, by this time, in engineering grad school. Unlike many attorneys, I was not one of those who had always wanted to be a lawyer. In fact, it never occurred to me until my girlfriend suggested it over dinner. When I was wondering what degree I could pursue next, so as to avoid having to enter the workforce. At that time, I thought one had to have a pre-law degree and many prerequisite courses that engineers would lack. And I feared law school would be difficult. I remember my girlfriend's chemical engineer father laughing out loud at my concern that law school might be more difficult than engineering. In retrospect, I can say that law school is not easy. It is a lot of work. But it is not that conceptually difficult. Lots of morons graduate from law school. Lots of morons graduate from law school. By 1988, I was in law school and becoming a more well-rounded libertarian, having read by this time Rothbard, Mises, Bastiat,
Bastiat? Bastiat? Basti... Bastia? 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 Okay, so we have Bastia, and we have Tannehill. Tannehill. Having read by this time Rothbard, Mises, Bastiat, the Tannehills, and a non-trivial portion of the books offered in the laissez-faire books catalog. In that year, there were two significant events in my life. In that year, there were two significant events in my life from what does that mean, though? Hold up. In that year, there were two significant events in my life from a libertarian perspective. One was Hans Hermann Hoppe's controversial and provocative article in Liberty. The ultimate justification, I need to pronounce my F's. The ultimate justification of the private property ethic. In this article, Hoppe sets forth his argumentation ethics, which holds that the libertarian private property ethic is implied in the very activity of argumentation, because those engaged in argumentation already presuppose the value of conflict avoidance and the ability to control property, and thus those arguing in favor of socialism contradict themselves. The second thing was that I encountered the legal principle of estoppel in my contracts class. This is the ubiquitous legal principle. Okay. This is the ubiquitous legal principle that precludes someone. I need a difference there. That precludes someone. Hit the mic, my bad. That precludes someone from asserting a legal claim or position that is inconsistent with earlier statements or behavior. Let me stop that for a bit. I really want to conceptualize what they're trying to say here. Because they're saying the second thing was that I encountered the legal principle of estoppel in my contracts class. This is the ubiquitous legal principle that precludes someone. Okay, so preclude, what exactly does that mean? Preclude means preclude. I know this, prevent from happening, making unstoppable. Okay, to make
impossible, to make impossible. So to preclude someone from asserting a legal claim or position that is inconsistent with earlier statements or behavior. Okay, so it prevents you from saying something legally that you have at some point in the earlier statements have contradicted. Okay. Okay. Estoppel. That seems pretty straightforward. The second thing was that the sec let's see. The second thing was that I encountered the legal principle of estoppel in my contracts class. In my contracts class, this is the ubiquitous legal principle that precludes someone from asserting a legal claim or position that is inconsistent with earlier statements, with earlier state with earlier statements or behavior. I remember sitting in let's see, trying to put them in that spot. I remember I remember sitting in my contracts class as Professor Morris lectured on this topic, thinking, "Eureka!" to myself, as I began to see that the concept of estoppel meshed perfectly with the libertarian logic, and also with Hoppe's argumentation ethics. With Hoppe's argumentation ethics, the libertarian non-aggression principle holds that force may only be used in response to initiated force. There is a nice symmetry here. One may use force if and only if it is in response to initiated force, aggression. I saw in class that day that the principle of estoppel could help explain and justify the non-aggression rule. Force was justified against an aggressor because, having used force himself, he would have been stopped from objecting to retaliation. For him to assert that force is wrong, which he must do in order to object to retaliation, would contradict the force is permissible maxim underlying his own act of aggression. He is stopped from asserting a claim inconsistent with that underlying his earlier behavior. My estoppel theory complements and draws on Hoppe's argumentation ethics. On Hoppe's argumentation ethics. For years, I believed that I first came up with my estoppel theory with my estoppel theory, and then read Hoppe's work and linked the two together. Now, I am not so sure and think that I first read and absorbed Hoppe's argumentation ethic, which made me fixate on the similar logic of estoppel when I coincidentally studied it in law school shortly thereafter. I was in King's College, London in 1991. In 1991, pursuing a master's. You could do that? What? Pursuing a master's degree in law. Pursuing a master's degree in law. Pursuing a master's degree in law. When I produced the first draft of a paper arguing estoppel can help justify libertarian rights, somewhat naively, I submitted it to King's College Law School's law. Somewhat naively, I submitted it to King's College Law Review. Hold up. King's College Law School's Law Review, whereupon it was summarily rejected. Not daunted, I submitted an improved draft to Tibor Machan. You guys see that? What is that word? What does that mean? Tibor Machan. Okay. Hungarian American philosopher. Is it Tibor? Is it Flea? T? Okay, so T B R T wagon war T bar about mock an Macan T bor R war T bar. Okay, so it's T bar Macan. All right, T bar Macan. T bar Macan. Not daunted, I submitted an improved draft to T-Bar Machin for his journal Reason Papers. I had read many of Machan's works. Including his Human Rights and Human Liberties, and individuals in their rights, and he had been kind enough to respond to several of my letters. I remember speaking with him one night about the submission from a student's pay telephone at King's College in London, and then getting drinks at a pub with friends. None of them knowing or able to appreciate that I had just spoken with a that I had just spoken with a famous libertarian writer whose books I had read, Estoppel, a new justification for individual rights. Estoppel, a new justification for individual rights, was published in the fall 1992 issue of Reason Papers. Another shift in my libertarian life occurred in 1994. When I first met Lou Rockwell, Hans Hoppe, and Murray Rothbard. But let me back up. After finally completing my 9 years of higher education, I had started to earn a living. So, in 1992, I started practicing law in Houston. When Hoppe's second English language book, The Economics and Ethics of Private Property, came out in 1993, I decided to do a review essay for a law review. The review was published in 1994 in the St. Mary's Law Journal. I promptly sent it to Hoppe, who sent back a warm thank you note. By mid 1994, I had moved to Philadelphia. I was there for 3 years until I returned to Houston in 1997, where I reside today, and resolved to attend the John Randolph Club. The John Randolph Club meeting in October 1994 near Washington, D.C., which was a gathering of paleoconservatives from the Chronicles crowd in several libertarians associated with the Mises Institute, part of a short-lived attempt at yet another libertarian conservative fusionism. My primary goal was to meet Hoppe, Rothbard, and Rockwell. I was thrilled to meet them and other scholars. I was thrilled to meet them and other scholars associated with the Mises Institute. And was able to get Murray to autograph my copy of Man, Economy, and State, which he inscribed to Stephen for Man and Economy and against the state. Best regards. Best regards. Murray Rothbard. Murray Rothbard. Murray Rothbard. Well, 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 I know the nicer one volume edition is out now, but just try to get me to part with my musty, tattered 2-volume copy. With my musty, tattered 2-volume copy. Rothbard unfortunately passed away in January 1995. In January 1995. In January 1995. Just 2 months later. But I was happy that I was able to meet him. Since then, I have attended many Mises Institute conferences, including every one of the annual Austrian Scholars Conferences, initiated, if I am not mistaken, in 1995. Over the years, I have gained more appreciation for Mises and Austrian economics. Let's see. In Austrian starting to break. Over the years, I have gained more appreciation for Mises and Austrian economics and for the unparalleled scope of Rothbard's scholarly contributions of Rothbard's scholarly contributions to economics and political philosophy and related fields. I am now not only an anarcho-libertarian, but a Mises. This is gonna be hard. How do you say that? Hold up. Misesian, but a musician Austrian. I have gained an increasingly deeper respect for Lew Rockwell, and the singular achievement that is the Mises Institute. I gotta down here, gotta drive it. That is the Mises Institute. It has become my intellectual home. It has become my intellectual home. All right, I better stop there. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. Let's see. Because we're on page 11 right now. And 3 is on page like 39. So I think 2 is a little bit longer. And 3 is like nothing. So we could probably finish 2 and 3 tomorrow maybe. And then have part 1 ready to go. Maybe? Yeah, this is going to be a lot.
700 pages. So, man, tell you what. Just to scroll through it is like a long time. But, you know, oops. Well, there we go. Let's go on to 2. Then close it on 2. There we go. Damn, never mind. Open it back up. Shucks. Whatever. All right, well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to close out of this. Going to go to FaceTime and the FaceTime. Put this away. Man, okay. Oh. Okay, guys, okay. This is where we were. We were looking at Tiber. Is it Tiber? Pop quiz. Yeah, it's T is in fleece. Tibar. Ma, like a ba, muck, McCann, like as in mechanical, or mechanic, McCann. So I was like, this dude's going to be so happy I pronounced his name correctly. Wrong. Sorry, dude. Rest in peace. Maybe. There we go. Ayn Rand. I love The Fountainhead, by the way. The Fountainhead was so good. It's probably my favorite book. Like, I love The Fountainhead. It is so good. I don't agree with, like, everything libertarian-wise, but, like, Ayn Rand is a phenomenal writer. If you can read Ayn Rand, like, I firmly believe you should start with The Fountainhead. I started with The Fountainhead because the one that's like really big is Atlas Shrugged. I remember a lot of people were talking about Atlas Shrugged back in the day. And I thought that is such a stupid name for a book. Like, this has got to be good. So like, I was like, Atlas Shrugged. That's such a weird name. Let me look that up. And then I was looking at it and I'm thinking, kind of sounds like something that I would probably like. Like, maybe I'll get that. And I was renting it from the library, and it was on back order because a lot of people want to get Atlas Shrugged, but The Fountainhead was available, and I thought, well, that's the same art, like the same author. I think that like their ideas might be a little similar, but I'm so glad I started with The Fountainhead. Honestly, was not my choice, but like it is by far my favorite book. I love The Fountainhead. Just Rourke is just like a force of nature, you know? Like, I see, like, anybody who wants to be anything or like build themselves up to be something wants to be like conceptualized as a Henry Rourke, just somebody who just, he is the task, you know? So I'm reading it and I like picture so many moments in my life that have happened very, very similarly. So people just, they don't know how to perceive a blank face, you know? And that's what I am a lot when I'm like working at a task. It's just like, okay, what do you need? What's up? How can I help? Like there's zero person there. It's just, what do you need? What can I do? How can I help? Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. Gotcha. 10-4. Like, I don't know. I can't conceptualize it right now because I'm very tired, but it's ongoing battle to you know what needs to be done and what can how you can accomplish the task in the most efficient manner, and that takes like you have to take your personality and dial it back all the way to zero. But that scares people, and people don't like when they interact with you in that capacity. So like they want that personality meter to be turned up, even if you're like sacrificing some amount of quality or capacity to work. So I don't know. It's always this dichotomy between those two things. Um, and I think that Ayn Rand puts it far more eloquently than I could ever, and I love the way that she puts it. So, in lieu of that, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Logic. Let's go to the script actually and go to LFFS. Let's see if I go home and go to my Drive workspace, ACX. See, I didn't put it in philosophical methods, did I? I did not. Okay, cool. So, LFFS introduction. Okay, cool. Just double checking medical law doesn't have it. So, what I'm going to do, because it only has the foreword and the preface, I'm going to mute this and go for the acknowledgments. I'm going to turn off everything. And then I'm going to unmute this and do it as a solo. And I'm going to bounce it as a WAV file. I'm going to bounce that as a WAV file in Legal Foundations of a Free Society. I'm going to create a new folder called Descript Outsource. I'm going to create that. And then this is going to be called Acknowledgements. There we go. And we're going to bounce that. I'm going to turn off the script because that's going to get annoying. But yeah, that's bouncing. So I'm going to bounce the acknowledgements and then bounce part 1. And then while part 1 is bouncing, I'm probably going to upload acknowledgements. So that's what we're doing tonight. And yeah, you know, I think that we accomplished a great deal tonight. We got on this project, I believe we have the opening credits, the closing credits. Do we have closing credits? We must. First of all, why are we converting that to an MP3? It's supposed to be a wave. What are we doing? That was a wave, right? You guys saw a wave, right? All right, 1 second. Bounce. Dude, I saw a wave up here. Damn. Okay. Here we go again. All right, so I'm going to bounce that as a wave. I'm going to bounce part 1 as a wave. Damn, that's too bad. It had to convert at the end. Did everything I needed to, and then I converted it. Shucks. Okay, so it's command. Is that minus? Command minus period? There we go. So I'm going to scroll down. Looks like I don't see opening or closing credits. Hold up. We gotta do. There we go. Opening credits. And then we're going to call this closing credits. I cannot believe I didn't record that. Closing credits. And then turn this off. And let's go ahead and record that real quick. Let's put it up so you guys can see it all the way at the top. My projects in production. Here we go.
This has been Legal Foundations of a Free Society, written by Stefan Kinsella, narrated by Eric Pullman. Copyright 1994, 2023, by Papinian Press, by Papinian Press. Production copyright by Libertarian Publishing. Production copyright by Libertarian Publishing. Okay, I think I got all iterations I need for that, so let's shorten it up a bit and then play it. This has been Legal Foundations of a Free Society, written by Stefan Kinsella. Production copyright by Libertarian Publishing. Production copyright by Libertarian Publishing.
Okay. All right. So we got that. I'm going to put that all the way at the bottom. And then that's muted. And then unmute libertarianism. Solo. Select it all as a U. Bounce as a wave. Okay. And then outsource. And this is going to be how I became libertarian. How I became libertarian. Pretty sure that's what it was called. That's what it's called, I'm pretty sure. All right. And there we have it, folks. And there we have it. We did this. We did the opening and the closing credits. And, hey, we got all that done. We got a whole section of this thing that's been on the back burner since the beginning of the year. Would you look at that? So even though this is a 200,000 word project, we're here to make small improvements to this. And even if it's just about the author or like one chapter or this chapter or that chapter, like we can do small things every day to work toward a completed project. So that's what I'm going to do for this project. And that's what I'm going to do for another project I'm working on right now. I'm in production of this one. It's medical law and technological advances. That one is also in this state that, needs to have things uploaded to it. I I'd say we're about 40% done with the recording of this. So I'm going to keep up with that with editing and upload those as I go. And then after that, it's the nuclear energy series. I don't think that I have the ability to actually make these. So I'm going to have to, I mean, I can submit what I have, but the things I've submitted so far have said unable to process. So I'm going to assume the rest in the lot will say that as well. Guys, I was super, super excited to see that there was four sales of Red Light Therapy Revolution. Like immediately. Thank you. We had 4 sales on the 3rd, 1 sale on the 4th, and 2 sales on the 5th. So in 7 days, we've almost beat the previous month. In the month of April, we've had 11 sales. So we really didn't have anything past the 23rd. But damn, I am just so impressed. That's a huge peak. That's massive. I've never seen a peak that big. That is so cool. Because if we extend that all the way back to mid-October, like, damn, that's phenomenal. I've never seen 4 in one day like that. That's crazy. So then to have like back to back, have like 1 again and then 2 more, that's huge. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's really, really cool. It looks like half of that is this one book, Baccarat. But then the rest is Blackjack, and then, 1, 2, 3, just a few here and there. But I appreciate you guys listening, seriously. Mostly from the United States, but we also have Canada, and then we also have the United Kingdom and Australia as well. And very cool to see that. So thank you so much for listening, guys. I really appreciate you. I see you on here, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for listening as well. I see we had a slope coming up with 1, 2, and then 3, and then it dropped off. But this was super cool to see as well. 7 hours listened to here. That's pretty neat. Mostly in Canada too. We mostly had Canadians listening in, so thank you for that. Looks like we haven't had any red light therapy listens yet, but hopefully that was a good book. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. And we'll see earning coming up. Probably not next week, but the week after. So we'll keep an eye out. Yeah. We'll keep this going. We will have sort by, let's say, audition date. Alphabetical. Yeah. Let's do alphabetical. What's ascending? Okay. That's not bad either. So we sent that. We got completed projects. This one's in review. We got some more live ones. Um, let's close out of everything here. See, I'm always taking a look at my analytics. Yo, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. 1, 3, 4, 1. Appreciate you guys popping in. Thank you so much for watching this while I was doing this. I know it's not the most exciting thing, but I appreciate that when people watch, like, you know, that they enjoy it. That's all that I really care about. Like, it's not extremely exciting, but it could be something to fall asleep to, maybe, or something you might be interested in as far as like watching how an audiobook gets put together, watching maybe like what I use to make that happen. Speaking of, let's go ahead and upload those files. So let's see. Legal foundations, Descript outsource. We got acknowledgements open. So that's opening right now. And then I'll go into web Descript. And then I'll go into Drive, ACX LFFS, and then we'll new project, audio project, upload, how I became libertarian. Those will do its thing. And then let's double check, because we have about 7 more days of transcripting before it goes through and updates. So let me make sure that I have enough bandwidth on here. See, I think it's on EP. Okay, settings. Subscription. 30 hours. So we got 30 hours. That's our monthly transcription limit. What are we at usage-wise? We've used Underlord 49 times. Yeah, we're going to be using it a lot more. Transcription activity. Here we go. Okay. So you can, all right, so current cycle. All right, cool. So we've got 5 more hours that we can transcribe. Awesome. That's what I need to know. These were well under a minute, but it can only do a minute, so that's so funny. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. All right. Cool. Cool. Automatic. White glove? What is white glove? The selected date range. What is white glove transcriptions? All right, what's new? Let's turn the music down, dude. Oof. How to curve a bowling ball and win with the AI speaker. So interesting. There we go. All right, time lapse generation can take a few minutes. So it's generating here.
Welcome everyone. Today, we're diving into an exciting topic, how to curve a bowling ball and win the respect of your bowling team. First things first, the grip. Make sure to hold the ball with your fingers in the holes and your thumb supporting the bottom. A relaxed grip is key to controlling the ball's direction. Next, your approach. Take your steps with confidence and keep your arms straight and relaxed. As you move closer to the foul line, prepare to release the ball smoothly.
Why does this
Now,
weirdly have
hold
my
it.
attention?
As your arm swings forward, let your thumb exit the ball first, followed by your fingers. This motion
Is this
puts a
brain
gentle
rot?
spin on the ball, allowing it to curve. Aim slightly to the side of the pins to account for the curve. Like anything,
But it's
practice
teaching me,
makes
so it can't be
perfect.
brain rot.
Spend time at the lanes working on your technique. The more you practice, the more natural the curve will feel. And there you have it. By mastering the
Oh
grip,
my
approach,
god.
and release, you'll be curving the ball in no time.
That is
leaving
100%
the world in
AI.
admiration of your bowling team. Happy bowling.
Did you see his hand go through that other dude's hand? Hold up.
Like anything, practice makes perfect. Spend time at the lanes working on your technique.
Wait, look at this.
The
Hold
more you
up.
practice, the more natural the curve will feel. And there you have it. By mastering the grip, approach, and release,
Alright,
you'll be curving the
okay.
ball in no time, earning the
Maybe this dude's not AI and I'm just being rude, but wow, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Okay. Well, see, I love Descript because it can do all of these different things. And it can also, like, dub it in other languages. That is so neat. That is so neat. So, that's pretty cool. LOL. So I can remove the retakes or shorten the word gaps, but I'm going to save that for a different time because I got sleep to go get. So I love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Wait, hold up. There we go. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. You guys are awesome. Super appreciate you guys stopping in. I saw some people on YouTube, so thanks so much for checking it out. I appreciate you. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I guess I was gonna see how AI speakers would work. So, like, if I had a project and I went to how I became libertarian, and then I put, like, AI speech. Wait, hold up. Cedric. I want Eric Pullman. Part 1. Libertarianism. How I became libertarian. Step 1. Transfer the documents. Step 2. Send the documents to Mary. Step 3. Shred the documents and any trace of our corruption. Bye now. Let's see what it does. Let's see what it does when I do that. 6 minutes remaining. Ugh. I thought I could do it really quick, but 6 minutes is kind of a lot. Maybe I should have been doing that while I was looking at other stuff. What's up, YouTube? Good to have you. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate you. Thank you. All right. So this one says it's good. Looks like they're all saying they're good. All right, let's see. Let's hear. How does it sound like?
Part 1, Libertarianism. How I became libertarian. Step 1, transfer the documents. Step 2, send the documents to Mary. Step 3, shred the documents and any trace of our corruption. Bye now.
Dude, that is weird. I don't like that. It's
Part
It's uncanny. It's uncanny. I don't like it because it's so uncanny. Hold up. It sounds like I'm glitching. And why am I saying documents like that? Why do I sound like the Joker? Documents. Send the documents.
Step 2. Send the documents to Mary. Step 3. Shred the documents and any trace of our corruption. Bye now.
That's really creepy. I need to get rid of that. Convert to audio?
Step 3. Shred the documents and any trace of our corruption.
This is so scary.
Step 2.
Because it doesn't sound like me like at all.
Part 1. Libertarianism. How I became libertarian. Step 1. Transfer the documents. Step 2. Send the documents to Mary. Step 3. Shred the documents and any trace of our corruption.
I feel like this would be good to like replace one word. If and I was talking to a friend earlier about this, but like if you're doing a project and like you like in one of these I said father instead of grandfather, and I'm thinking, that's annoying. Like if this were almost ready to go and I just needed that one change, isn't there a way that I could use AI technology to like train something to sound like me and then it just say grandfather and then that be that? Like just use it when it's absolutely necessary. Well, Eric Pullman 2 confirm. See, but like, oh, because I can choose a file. And so, what if I use this? This is longer than 2 minutes. Okay. Longer than 2 minutes. Layout packs. There's so much you could do with this. I gotta go. Because like honestly, I'll be here all day. I'll literally be here all night just toying around with this. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. I see you poking in there. I appreciate you. YouTube, thanks for checking me out. I super appreciate it. We've been live for about 3 hours. We got a lot of work done. We got the 15-minute checkpoint submitted for a project. So very, very, very excited to see how that will come about. We submitted it early, and I think that we did a pretty good job, like piecing it together quality-wise. So really happy with how it turned out. And then we got a whole chapter done on the Libertarian Project that's been on the back burner forever. So very cool to see that. Before I forget, let me check the Kick chat room. I don't see anybody in there. I don't see anybody in Kick. Yeah, no, nobody's in Kick. So, love you guys. If you are there, good to see you. If not, sayonara. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. We're gonna come back in, and we might work towards secret codes of the mind, or we might go back into the libertarian book, or we might go back into the medical law, or I might do like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing where I like separate it like that, and then well, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, something like that. That might even be better, because it is Tuesday. But giving myself some time to breathe, I'm giving myself some time to edit, and then giving my voice some time to rest as well. I think all of those things are really important. So I think in lieu of that, what I'll be doing is like one day working towards one project, another day working towards another project, and then mainly working on like the project that I'm really focused on. So right now that project is going to be secret codes because I want to see that through, and I want to get as much feedback as possible throughout the process. But other than that, we're chipping away at the other projects, and I'll see you guys on the next one where we'll probably pick up on medical law if my planning's correct. We're gonna do medical law and technological advances. So stay tuned for another chapter of that. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.